Mike Douglas is Michigan's retirement coach.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Mike, asking for his insight on what you can be working on now to better prepare for your financial future. You have lots to figure out. A retirement that should last 20, 30, or 40 years requires a little bit of effort on the front end. And the good news is you don't have to do it by yourself. Mike and his team are here to help you create a plan of your own, customized to your goals. You can begin that conversation at mylifeplanfinancial.com. We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can just click there, or again, visit us at mylifeplanfinancial.com. It is, so actually, we were talking about road trips in another podcast episode, because you guys do the RV thing, but you don't drive the RV. You have it dropped off. That's such a bougie move. That is a boss pro move right there. We're going RVing, but we're going to have our RV dropped off at the location of which we choose to use it.
You know, it's bougie till you do it one time, then it's a necessity. Like you can never go back. You
listen.
Show up.
I'm not ragging on you. Like, I'm so bougie, I refuse to camp. Like, absolutely not. Like, I need running water. I need working air conditioning. Yeah. I love nature, but
all the stuff that I had in the camper.
I like to be able to walk into a room and close the door on nature so I can get a good night's sleep. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. We always camp the last week of July, too, which is so hot and humid.
Right. What kind of punishment?
Well, it's when a bunch of our friends go. We go on a big trip with a bunch of people. There's like 15 families.
Yeah.
And we go and we all have breakfast together. And then it gets crazy hot. Then I go in the camper in the air conditioning and I take a nice nap every day.
Love it. Perfect. All right. So before you drive to the place where your RV has been dropped off, my husband has this ritual before we go on any road trip. You would think that we were driving to California when we were like driving 3 or 4 hours to visit his parents. No.
Yep.
It's like he checks every tire. I don't even know what he's doing, honestly, because I just stay out of the garage. I just avoid it at all costs. But he checks every little thing. Heaven help if a light were to come on any kind of point of the road trip, the man would immediate cardiac arrest. He just gets so stressed out. He said to me, one of his biggest fears is breaking down on the side of the road with me in the car, because he's like, I don't want to put you through that. And I was like, well, just call AAA or whatever. But when it comes to Americans that do not follow my husband's lead, are you one of these people? Are you guilty of leaving a car light on for longer than you should?
So we're going back to a bougie thing here. I don't like the fact that when your car light's on, you can't remote start your car. So I tend to get my lights fixed real quick, because it's one of those stupid things. But if your light comes on and you don't get it fixed, then you can't remote start. And in Michigan, the winters, you have to remote start your car.
You have to be able to do that. It gets so cold. That's fair.
Yeah. What's annoying, though, is that every little thing sets off the light now. Like, it's not like big stuff. It's never like, hey, just so you know, your battery's going to die soon, or your engine's about to fall off the car. It's like, hey, there was a little sensor that we attached strictly to make sure you're slightly more environmentally sound, and that sensor came slightly disconnected. You need to go back to a dealer. And until then, you can never remote start your car.
Got it. You're right. The smarter cars get, the more that breaks. So many people then are probably driving around with some kind of light lit up on their car dash. If nothing else, just feel solace in the fact that you are not alone. When this new survey was talking about Americans admitting to ignoring their check engine light, and they do so, the average time is about 4 months before they take that car to get figured out, fixed, etc.
Yeah.
Number one fear as to why, because they're just afraid of it's going to be some kind of your engine's about to blow up and it's an $10,000, $12,000 cost. Like, the car's not even worth $10,000. Well, it's going to cost $10,000 to replace whatever. Right. And the thing about a car, one, no matter, unless you were speaking about bougie, driving some sort of Rolls Royce situation, your car is nowhere near the value of your nest egg. But the other thing is, at least with the car, when there's a problem, you get the light. Bing, there's a problem here. This is not the case with our savings for the most part. We don't have a little flag that goes up, a little light that comes on when there's a problem. So thinking about the work that you do and the value of the net worth of people that come and talk to you, most of them at least $500,000 or more in their nest egg. When you are doing a review process with somebody, this probably is more often with a new client that comes in and you go through all their stuff. What is it that you look for in their plan to indicate they are on the right path? If there are problems, where are the areas we should be checking?
Yeah, there's a lot of check-in points we want to make sure we stay on top of, things that you can track over time, because sometimes a snapshot doesn't give you any context. We were talking before we came on here about how when you make a big financial decision, sometimes it changes your credit picture or different things for a moment, but they can come back. So you want to have a context and not work in a vacuum. But some things we like to track over time, especially, is to see, how is our net worth trending? That's the first thing. Is my net worth trending up from last year? Am I on a good upward trend? Now, some of that net worth, there's liquid net worth and there's total net worth. So on your balance sheet, your personal balance sheet, your home value, is it rising? Is the area you live in a valuable place to live in? Are you making improvements that increase the value? When you decide, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house, maybe I should do some upgrades, do those actually add to the net worth and the value before you sell it? Those are things to consider. Are we just trending that way? And net worth is a big 10,000 foot view. So it's not something you check weekly, or you probably shouldn't, but it's not something you constantly on top of, but every so often you need to say, all right, where are we? Are we trending the right direction? Are things going the right way? The next one is a debt to income ratio. This is one that can kind of sneak up on people. You finance a couple things and you don't realize how much you loaded up on your debt to income. The rule is we want to try and keep the debt to income ratio below 30%. You do not want your debt running higher than 30% of your income. So that's a good thing to keep track of. And again, that has some fluctuation. Sometimes a big thing hits and we have to pay for a car repair that's $7,000, or our engine goes out, or we have a major home repair, a furnace goes out, and we have to pay $10,000, $15,000, and those things spike. Well, it's not bad. We want to be able to pay for them. We just need to build them in.
Sorry to interrupt you. Does that debt to income ratio include your mortgage? Because a lot of people's mortgage is more than 30% of their income.
I like it to include that. So the rule of thumb for mortgages, your mortgage shouldn't account for more than 25 to 30% of your gross income. Okay. But if we're building towards retirement modeling, so younger families, it does not include that. Because it's almost impossible for young families to have your income outweigh your expenses.
You buy a house. What's a 3-bedroom house cost in Michigan? It's probably starting at $300,000.
Yeah, $200,000 to $300,000 easy.
What young family is making that kind of money?
Well, and at 7.5% interest rates. So what they are spending for a $300,000 house is way different than what Kimberly and I spent for our first home, because our interest rate was so much lower. Right. And so, but that's part of it. And that's why mortgage companies use your debt to income ratio as part of the affordability tool. Because, when we talk about mortgages, your mortgage person will never tell you, this house is $300,000. I'm going to get you a 30-year mortgage, and by the time it's all done, you'll pay $480,000. They never say that. They say the monthly payment is $2,100. Can you afford the monthly payment? Car salesmen do the same thing. They don't talk about how much the car costs. They talk about how much it costs per month. Can you afford this? Yes. Then you can afford this car. And then if you want to make improvements to the car, it's $11 more per month or $35 more per month, because that sounds better than $6,000 for a tonneau cover. So they just they put it in terms of that, and that's what we build that all around.
Got it.
Another big one is your living expenses. You want to make sure that you're not spending more than 50% of your income on living expenses. So again, we have debt that's below 30%. Our expenses are no more than 50%. So between those two, we should have about an extra 20% left over when it's all said and done. Now, the living expenses, we're talking about your bills, the stuff that comes out, not your strictly debt levels, but just more about your monthly expenses coming in. The next one's emergency savings. You should have enough money, ideally, to cover 6 months of expenses. So if you get laid up, can't go to work, and if you don't have long-term care or short-term care, short-term disability, then could you cover your monthly bills for 6 months? That's the number we need to strive to. Most people try to start out with getting $1,000 in their savings account. And once you get there, then you push past it. But especially as we go into retirement, when you go into that fixed income space and the big things pop up, that's when you would say, all right, well, I need to make sure I have enough to cover those things. But 6 months expense is the rule. Okay. Going back to the credit score. So net worth, debt to income ratio, living expenses, emergency savings. The next one's credit score. Credit score is a tough one because sometimes you make good life decisions and it punishes your credit score. You pay off a mortgage and they close the account. And because you close your longest standing account, your credit takes a hit. And it's short term, it's momentary. But remember, your credit score is based on What credit companies believe, your likelihood to repay the payments over time, not in a moment. Credit cards do not make any money if you pay your balance off every single month. They don't make any money because they haven't charged you any interest yet. They make money on the interest. So the more you put things on long-term payments, the more they reward you with a good credit score. And you stay faithful and you make the payments, including the interest, and they like that. But as a whole, if you can keep your credit score, your FICO score above 700, that's a good place to be, because that means you're going to generally get cheaper rates. If you have a higher credit score, you'll pay lower interest rates on when you do actually finance things. You can still get a financing at a 640 credit score. You're just going to pay a premium because the company who's lending you the money says there's a chance I don't get this money back. So they're going to get more on the front end. Okay. So next thing, taxes. When you build a retirement plan or you build a lifestyle plan and you're trying to make some decisions for the future, you need to have some tax diversification. You need some money that you can touch without paying taxes. So whether that's filling up a Roth IRA for the future or you're in retirement and you want some tax-free money, you want some tax-free money that if you need a major pull, you don't have to withhold taxes to get it. So tax strategy, there's so many things. I know we talk about taxes a lot on this podcast, so I don't want to belabor it right now. But tax planning is one of the most important things you can do in a plan. Whether you're building a family, you've raised a family, or now you're retired, you live in the net. You live in what's left over. And so to build a whole plan around the concept of a gross, it's like if you get a $10,000 raise at work and you're very excited. And in the end, after they pay the feds, state, your 401k, your Social Security, all that stuff.
It is such a needle in a balloon.
Oh, you end up with a $6,000 raise.
I know.
And it's just tough.
So frustrating.
And you go, wait a minute. I thought I got $10,000. Well, no, the company paid $10,000 more, but everybody else took their cut first.
Yep.
So planning for taxes. The last one is protection. When you have insurances, there's other things that you need to look out for. You know, whenever you make life decisions, what is the insurability risk? I know it's a kind of a negative way to look at things, but you know, we put a basketball court at our house. And we encourage a lot of neighborhood kids come over and play. We'd love to have you come play with us. And it's a great thing. It's a beautiful place and kids come and play basketball and it's very fun. Yeah. And my mind immediately went to what happens if a kid falls and breaks his arm? Can they sue us? So we made sure we have plenty of coverage on our umbrella policy. If you have a home, if you have people coming over a lot, if you host events, if you have a business, what type of insurances do you need? In retirement, what type of protections and coverages do you need in retirement? You know, if you have a place down south that you rent out, do you need renter's insurance? If you're taking your current home and Airbnb-ing it because you're going to snowbird and doing all this stuff, what insurances do you need? There's a lot of different ways we look at insurance, but life insurance, health insurance, Medicare, and all the different levels of Medicare coverage you need, home insurance, auto insurance, all those things matter. Just making sure you're appropriately insured. For a long time, I remember when we first got insurance on our vehicles and things, Kimberly and I always just got the cheapest thing. We would just say, all right, it seemed like Geico was the cheapest thing out there. We always just got the cheapest insurance we could. And then as we built a company and built a nest egg and built a family and kind of a life, I talked to an insurance friend of mine who worked for another insurance agency. And he says, you do have the cheapest insurance on the market, coming and going. It's the cheapest you'll pay, and it's probably the lowest coverage you can have, and it's not covering anything. And he exposed all this risk I didn't know I was subject to. Yeah. And so we went through, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pay more for insurance because if something goes wrong, people can take more from us than ever before.
That's right.
And so that was a protection. So all these things are part of the conversations. Again, these are check-ins. It's not a one-time thing, but year by year, do I update our insurances, our taxes planned for? All these things matter. So these conversations are how you build a successful plan, how you build a successful model for the future. So on our website, it's mylifeplanfinancial.com. If you click on the button that says Start Your Retirement Roadmap Today, if you click on that, it'll reach out to us and we'll have a conversation about not just these things, but so many more. Just understanding all the pieces of the puzzle that apply to your financial picture, and we'll have that conversation.
Helping you to find the little check engine lights within your financial plan that you don't even realize are on. If only it were that simple. But fortunately, there is the convenience of talking to Mike, and he can help you discover where there might be some areas that you can improve, again, for the future that you hope to have for yourself, for your family, for your friends, that life you want to live. So again, find us, mylifeplanfinancial.com. We also have links posted in the show notes, so just click there or visit us anytime, mylifeplanfinancial.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit mylifeplanfinancial.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.